In today's video, we're going to be taking a look here at the tropics, where there is a lot to go over between post-tropical cyclone Nigel, and then we also have that tropical system off the southeast coast that we need to talk about. It's already bringing major impacts. It's looking to strengthen and continue to bring those impacts, so definitely going to be an intense system for North Carolina, Virginia, and even further north up the coast. We'll talk about that in just a minute. We are going to dive into the upcoming pattern, the temperature pattern as well, so there is so much to go over. But before we get into it, be sure to check out Prestige Weather in the description and the pinned comment down below. We do weekly consulting calls. We do early access to all of our seasonal and monthly forecasts. We do have our third winter forecast on the way over there that's going to be exclusive for quite a while on Prestige Weather. So if you want early access to that, be sure to check it out. It is $5 a month, very affordable, and you can find it again in the description and pinned comment down below. Let's get into things, and as you can see, post-tropical cyclone Nigel expected to kind of continue on this kind of northeasterly trajectory, turning more just straight north. By the time we're taking a look at later on Saturday, tomorrow, from the time I'm making this video, where it's going to basically die out. So this system is going to be all said and done, and probably we're going to be done talking about it already by tomorrow. Potential tropical cyclone 16 is at tropical storm strength. It just needs to get tropical. So we're waiting on that, and it is expected to be a tropical storm today. It already has 50 mile per hour maximum sustained winds, so definitely a very intense system, a little bit earlier than expected. It's already bringing pretty heavy impacts, especially to North Carolina there. We do see in the blue there tropical storm warnings up and down the Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and even into the Delaware coast, so certainly looking to bring pretty major impacts to multiple different areas. By the time we're reaching tomorrow evening, it is going to be over kind of southeastern Virginia. It is going to move into the kind of Maryland and DC area. By the time we're taking a look at Sunday, where it'll still continue to bring heavy rainfall, a little bit less winds by that point, as it's going to be over land for quite a while. The worst of the winds should be over North Carolina, so we'll talk about that in a little bit, but we can see obviously a pretty major tropical cyclone here. Going to be an impactful one, especially in terms of rainfall and the winds. Now, as we dive into the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook, we can see tropical cyclone 16 there off the Carolina coast again. We see post-tropical cyclone Nigel. And then we have this disturbance, which we now have a 70% chance of development over the next 48 hours and a 90% chance over the next 7 days. Certainly a very, very major system that is looking to have a very high chance of development. So this is going to be the one that likely over the coming week or so we're going to be talking about, or more, as it looks to head kind of into this Caribbean area. So we're going to be on high alert for this one. Let's dive into the upcoming pattern, and I just want to show you by the time we're reaching this evening, this will be about 8 p.m. tonight, and we can see that we're starting to get some of the more moderate impacts here for Carolina and Virginia. It's looking pretty bad out there already, but trust me, it's not the worst of it yet. We still have a lot more on the way, because look at how far to the south the low still is. We have a long way to go, and as we reach overnight, we can see that low is approaching the southern regions of North Carolina, so it's going to get windier and windier. This is by the time we're taking a look at about 8, 9 a.m. here in North Carolina. We're going to be still seeing major impacts, and then by the time we're reaching kind of 2, 3 p.m., that low is going to be over northeastern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia, bringing very heavy rainfall, very intense winds still. Right around now would be, and by now I mean what we're taking a look at, would be when we would see the winds starting to die down because of the land interaction. And by the time we're taking a look at about 8 p.m. on Saturday, we can see it over southeast Virginia, likely again continuing to lower in intensity. Simultaneously, we do have this bit of a cold front here that could be bringing some severe weather and pretty strong thunderstorms, and this is all underneath this 1001 millibar low pressure center. We don't have a clearly defined warm front, but it's somewhere in there. So we see this warm air surging northward as that cold front swings through. Let's just take a look at the day on Sunday, and we can see that that storm dissipates quickly here in the eastern United States, but we still see some moderate rainfall throughout the mid-Atlantic and the northeast. We have 1005 over North Dakota, still have this stretching cold front here, warm front up above. That is the two major things going on by Sunday on the 24th. By Monday on the 25th here, We can see some storms here for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, also throughout a lot of the plains here in the deeper south. And then we can see here for the Northeast, we're seeing a pretty major storm system, or better yet, the Northwest. I don't know if I just said Northeast, but that's the Pacific Northwest. We have a pretty major storm moving on shore. Let's take a look at Tuesday the 26th here, and we do have isolated and scattered about activity here throughout the Gulf Coast and the East Coast there. So we do have that going on. Still the Pacific Northwest dealing with this more intense storm. By Wednesday, the Northwest still the highlight here of the nation with heavier rainfall and even some snowfall for some of those Cascades there and even some of the mountainous regions in British Columbia. By the time we're taking a look at Thursday, we could see some more major thunderstorm activity, maybe heavier showers depending on where you're at here for the southeastern corner of the nation. And still a little bit of lingering storminess up there in the Northwest, but it is dying down by that point. By the time we reach Friday, we can see a little bit more of a major storm system here over the Mid-Atlantic on the 29th there. And then for Saturday the 30th, we can see this moves further northward up into the Mid-Atlantic, but still a pretty major rainfall system. We do see the beginning of potentially our first snowstorm here as we see a low deepening over Utah and Colorado, a trough making the jet stream really intense here, like a roller coaster. Trough in the west, ridge over the central states. This is bringing deep cold and potential snowfall to states like Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Montana, and eventually Wyoming likely. So those northern Rocky states here. And we start to see here by the final frame that this low is over Wyoming. And to the west of it, we do see some higher elevation snowfall to a lot of these areas here in the Rockies and the western states in general by October 1st, October 2nd timeframe. Very, very interesting. As we take a look at the total precipitation, we can see some heavier amounts there in the Pacific Northwest, also over the Rockies into the plains with this kind of cold front system. And then especially here where we see this tropical cyclone impacting, we see especially large amounts, mostly happening over the next 2 days actually, but still some more storm systems on the way as well. Anywhere in the reds, we're in general looking for 2 to 5 inches of precipitation, and we certainly see that. We do see some brown scattered about, which will be 5 to 10. Certainly some flooding risk here throughout states like North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, even DC there. So a lot of the Mid-Atlantic and portions of the northern southeast, if that makes sense, looking at some pretty extreme amounts of rainfall. As we take a look at the temperature pattern, we are in an interesting one. We have this strongly negative PNA that stands for Pacific North American Oscillation, and usually this causes surging warm air for both the central and the eastern states. We will see it in the central, but the eastern states are quite blue, and they're looking to hold on to a lot of that cold for quite a while, as you can see. That negative PNA continues here. This is by September 27th. We still see that, but we still see the cooler air over the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Let's keep going, and we see that eventually the warmth finally wins by the time we're taking a look at about October 3rd here, as we still have this cooler air mass here over the west, indicative of a negative PNA. And then the surging warm air finally now for both the central and eastern states here. We do see that classic pattern. And that looks to, for the most part, continue all the way through the end of the model run here on October 7th. We still see pretty neutral temperatures in here. Maybe the PNA switching to a positive soon. But we still see the surging warm air, the central and eastern states. Certainly going to be something we have to watch day over day. Speaking of that, we do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe for daily weather uploads just like this one. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.